Hey everybody, we are going to talk about solving a system of equations by graphing. So, what I have here is I've been given the following system. We're going to graph to find the solutions. So, a system of equations is when you have more than one equation. So, I have two here, that makes a system. So, we're going to solve this by graphing. Now, I could have done this all by hand, have graph paper here, figure out, the y-intercept and the slope and graph my lines, this, that, and the other. I could have done all that. I could still do that if I want to. So you could still go through and say, all right, my y-intercept is 6, my slope is 2, graph the top line. And then I would go to my second equation, say, all right, I need a y-intercept of negative 14, a slope of negative 3, and graph that guy. I could do all that if I wanted to by hand. What I want to show you this time, though, is, we do have graphing calculators available to us. I want to show you what graphing calculators can do to help speed up this process just a little bit. So we have y equals 2x plus 6 and y equals negative 3x minus 14. If you look in the calculator, your graphing calculator, on the top left, there's this button here that says y equals. So what we're going to do is let's press that. Now what this allows us to do is take equations, as long as they're already y equals, like these two are, and plug them into the calculator. We're going to tell our calculator to graph these two. So my first equation is already y equals. I just need to type in the 2x plus 6. So you see we have y1 equals and then blank. So to type in 2x plus 6, well, you're still going to hit the 2 as normal. To get the x variable, if you look right next here to the green button, there's this button that has an x, a t, looks like a circle, and an n. What we want is that x button, so you just hit that, and there's your x. And then you're just going to do plus 6. So there's my first equation that I want graphed. Now let's go down. You can either hit enter or use the arrows to go down. I'm going to graph my second equation, which is negative 3x minus 14. So this is a negative. This is a subtraction because it's between two terms. This is just in the front. So negative 3, there's my x minus 14. So once you have your equations typed into y equals, you can tell your calculator to graph this for you. If you look in the top right, there's this button that says graph. Go ahead and hit that. And the calculator is going to go ahead and graph both of those lines for you. Okay, so we have both of them graphed. Now we're interested in finding the solution here. Now the solutions for a system of equations like this with two variables is we're looking for an ordered pair x, y. So we're solving for both x and y here. Well, looking at this, and I asked students, well, where do you think the solution is? It's right here. It's where they crisscross is what most all students come to arrive at. So where they crisscross. So what I want to know is, what is the coordinates of this crisscrossing? Now, the graphing calculator does a pretty good job of marking, your coordinates and all that, but sometimes it can be pretty tough to see by eye what this coordinate is. What you can do is you can ask the calculator to tell you what is this intersection point at. So the next few buttons can get a little bit confusing, but if you need to pause it to look at it, do that. But I'll try and go slow. So I want to calculate where is this intersection happening. So if you look at the top in blue here, it says calc. So to get the blue, you got to hit the blue button first. So second, calc. And it's going to bring up a whole bunch of options that you can do with graphs. You can find a value, you can calculate a 0, a min, a max, intersect, and a few others. Well, what we want is where those two lines crisscross, also known as the intersection. Now it's going to ask you three questions here on the bottom. It's going to ask first curve, second curve, and guess. If you're just graphing two lines like we are in basic algebra 1, you don't really need to worry about these three questions too much. It's just asking you, hey, what do you want to use as your first equation? Well, I want to use 2x plus 6, so hit enter. It'll ask, what's your second curve? It'll say, hey, is it y2 equals negative 3x minus 14? Yeah, that was my second one, so hit enter. And it asks you to guess kind of roughly where is this intersection at. And you could use the arrows to move up and down. And what you're going to see is as I move this to the left, you're going to see this crisscross come on the screen, and there it is. So I put it, and I'm going to put it right there. Honestly, when you have just two equations, you don't really even need to guess as well. The calculator's going to know if it's just two equations. You hit enter, and it says intersection x equals -4, y equals -2. So my answer is x equals -4, y equals -2. So again, through those steps, if you want to find the intersection there, you could just go to second calc, go down to intersect, and you can just hit enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And it will tell you the intersection is at -4, -2. So let's look at one more problem here. I have y equals 2x plus 4 and 9x plus 3y equals -3. So my top equation is ready because I have y by itself. Y equals 2x plus 4. My second equation is not ready. So if you look here, I went to y equals again. I need y equals. The calculators can't handle if you say 9x plus 3y equals -3. So I need to rearrange the second equation so I have y equals in some, whatever my equation is. So if I have 9x plus 3y equals -3, I have to think to myself, how can I get y by itself? So I'm kind of solving for y here. So that means I need to take this 9x and move it to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 9x because it was positive. Subtract 9x from both sides. Over here on the left side, when you have a 9x minus a 9x, that is gone because it's 0. So I have 3y on the left side. On the right side, I have a -3 and a minus 9x. Now, I'm not going to combine these because this has an x, that term does not. So you could just leave it alone as -3 minus 9x. If you want to put the -9x in front, the -3 in the back, same thing. Still got to get that y by itself, so I'm on the left side, I'm multiplying by 3, so the opposite of multiplying by 3 is divide by 3. So I divide the left side by 3, and I'm going to divide everything on the right side by 3. So those are gone. I get y equals -3 divided by +3 is -1, and a -9x divided by a +3 is -3x. So I now have my second equation to y equals. So coming back to the calculator, if you have other numbers in there, whatever, you could just hit the clear button and it will clear out that equation. I'm going to go up to y1, and I'm going to put 2x plus 4. Go down to my second equation. I have -1 minus 3x. So since this is between two terms, this is a subtraction, this is a negative. So -1 minus 3x. I can hit graph here, and the calculator will take care of everything for you. If you get an error or anything, oftentimes it has to do with, hey, you might have used a negative sign when you wanted a subtraction, so pay very close attention on those. So to find my intersection here, go through those steps again. I need to use the calc button up here, so second calc, intersect, enter, enter, enter. It says the intersection is at x equals -1, y equals 2. So I'm going to write that as coordinates, x first, so -1, y second, which was 2. So the solution to this system is -1, 2. And that was solving systems of equations by graphing.